Welcome everybody back to Gather Veterans. Jason here with you, and a special guest today via Zoom once again is Pat. Pat, welcome. Thanks for coming aboard.
My pleasure.
Well, we really don't know much about you. You and I have just met, like literally right now, face to face. But if you could just kind of share a brief background of where you're from, what was behind your choice and decision into serving our country. Kind of take us through that real quick.
Well, like you mentioned, my name is Pat Paulino. I'm originally born and raised in Guam, and I joined the military back in '81, and went into the reserve, and then went into active duty, and from there I served a total of 24 years. Yeah, so when I retired in 2007, I met my wife in Washington, and we got married, and we have two beautiful girls, one 19 and the other one is 14. So they're growing fast. Yeah. So, I was stationed basically all over the world. Korea, Germany, Texas, Fort Hood, Fort Lewis, Fort Eustis, and then I served in the war in Iraq, Kosovo, numerous times to Kosovo and also Iraq. So, the day I was supposed to sign my DD 214, the president signed the stop loss. So, I was a day late. So after 4 years, that's when after 4 years serving in Iraq, not continuously, but, after, things started to settle down, I applied for retirement, and this time I got approved. So I retired in Fort Lewis, Washington. I worked there for about a year and a half. And then, I started having medical issues. First, it started out slow, and then it just started getting worse. And so I'd be going into seizures a lot. And so I have some brain trauma or something to that effect, so I'm being treated for TBI and a lot of other stuff. But the TBI is the vocal point of my injuries, and other than that, I'm just here not working. I'm unemployed. I'm retired. Just enjoying retirement with my wife and my girls.
That's great.
So,
what was I'm sorry. What was your, going back a little bit here at the beginning? What was your decision going into the military? How did you make that choice, and what branch did you serve in, and why did you choose that branch?
I chose. I went in, joined the Army. First, we my parents are, we're barely making ends meet. So, you know, my dad says either college or do something.
Mhm.
And so, you know, I know it's hard for my parents. So I decided to just do, you know, go in and try it out. And I enlisted for 4 years, you know, and then I decided that, you know, it's been great for me, you know, the military. And so you know, I stayed in. And then next thing you know, I was like, wow, 20 years went by quick, you know? Yeah.
Yeah.
And, you know, I'm glad I stayed in. I have two younger brothers that also are retired, you know? All of us are Army, you know? So, so, you know, we chose that path. And I guess we chose the branch, Army branch, because my mom's brothers were also uh, veterans. You know, they both served in Vietnam.
Mm.
So I guess my uncles were the motivating factor to join the Army. You know,
Right. Right.
yeah, and it's. I mean, it to me it don't matter what branch of service you join. You know, we just fight the same war.
Sure.
You know, we tease each other. You know, my brother-in-law, uh, we tease each other a lot. You know, so you know, he and plus he's in the Marine Corps. He's also retired. So you know, we all serve in Iraq. We all serve in Kosovo. Uh, some of my brother, youngest brother, was in Afghanistan, Africa. You know, so but he retired. I think last year. My middle brother retired in 2006, and I retired in 2007.
Okay.
Yeah, so it was, you know, it was gut wrenching at times. You know,
Mhm.
the path in the military wasn't all that great, but you know, it comes with the territory. You know,
Right. Right.
you get, you know, it pays off at the end. You know, and I have nephews that are in the Air Force, in the Army. They're both stationed in Hawaii, and you know, that was when I retired. They both enlisted the
Mm.
same time. So I said, hang in there. You know, it's 7 years and you're done. You know, and you know, to be very honest, it, the military has been great for me. You know, great for me and my family. You know, a lot of hardship, but you know, in the end, you just gotta suck it up and move on. You know, and you know, the biggest thing is I think about my family, and that's the motivating factor. You know, so now I'm just enjoying life day by day. You know,
Mhm.
but you know, it's just uh, the reason why I really joined the military is because you know jobs were scarce back home. You know, college was an option, but I didn't want to put my parents into deeper financial bind. You know, I mean, they work hard all their lives. You know, and you know, when I told my dad that I'm going in the military, you know, he sat me down and said, "Hey, look, it's a everyday job. You can't just say I quit when you wake up in the morning and not show up to work." So, you know, and the thing that sticks to my head even now is when you do something, complete it. You know,
Right.
and you know, it's been life's been great with that advice, and he was also my biggest motivator. And when I was deployed, he would email us, write us letters. And uh, there was one time when I was in Iraq. I was side by side with my brother fighting the battle, and I didn't even know until one of my soldiers went to the CASH, which is the Combat Army Hospital, and she came back and said, "Hey, I saw a guy that looks just like you, and his name is Sergeant Paulino also, So we linked up on my birthday.
Oh, wow.
He gave me a box of MREs as a gift. But it was gut wrenching when they get under fire or I get under fire, and we just pray, and we made it a point that every night we get together and have dinner at the DFAC,
Mm-hmm.
But the hardest part about that is I left about 4 months earlier than he did.
Oh, wow.
And it's hard for me to leave my kid brother there. I wish I could just swap.
Yeah.
But but he made it home safe, and he moved up here he was staying in Texas. He retired in Texas, and I moved here because my wife is originally from Michigan, and she said, let's move to Michigan. So Guam is where the heart is, but Michigan is my home now. And we'll always go back and visit. But like I said, we put our roots down here in Michigan. And it's been great. I mean, we've been blessed. We've been blessed with like my girls. They're the motivating factor of and my wife is my biggest supporter. Regardless of the outcome, she's still there for me, day in and day out, nonstop.
That's great.
And sometimes I can't control my my TBI, but after a while, she understands, and always put my feet back down and not jump off the handle. But when everything cools off, that's when I realized, man, I don't know why. I don't know. It's just. And like yesterday, Memorial Day, that was hard to swallow. I lost soldiers in combat. I lost my lieutenant in combat. We had close calls. Uh, but like my dad said, if it's not your time, it's not your time. So yeah.
I'd like to ask. I did not serve in the military. I did not join, but I honor all of you, and I really respect you guys a ton. And I want to say thank you for your service, by the way.
You're welcome.
Can you explain to us, as a civilian, try to put into words, you go from basic training and you go into serving into the job that you choose or whatever they put you, and then you're thrust into a combat situation. A lot of us never will be able to fathom what that's like. Can you put into words even what going into a combat situation is actually like?
Right. So went to basic training in South Carolina, and after serving basic training in South Carolina, I went up to Fort Dix, New Jersey. That's where I was trained to become in the logistics business, which is the transportation side of the house. So as a transporter, we move, from big tanks to, small boxes, to parts and anything that needs to be moved,
Mhm.
anything that needs to go anywhere. And we train like we're fighting. So part of being a transporter, we're like the backbone of um, of how the war fighters will survive out there. We transport, we push fuel out to the war fighters. We push food, ammo, medical supplies, name it, anything that the infantry, armor, all these combat arms unit that need things to keep them moving. A tank cannot move. We have the biggest, most sophisticated equipment, but without fuel, oil, they're sitting ducks. And also we have to take care of the soldier, where they get fed, they get water. Soldiers that are being wounded, we transport medical supplies, uh, name it, anything from IVs to pressure dressings to uh, anything that will help the soldiers survive. Um, Also, in my field, it's pretty unique, and because we have more females in the logistics side of the house. Uh, when I tell my stories to like my family, like my mom or my dad or my girls, because they've never been to war, but they they would ask me questions like, what do I do and why I do it. Um, Anybody that says war is not scary, it's not the same as going out to the field for a whole month and train. But that's how you win a war. You train as you fight. You fight like what you trained on, and you know everything unfolds when you're out there in the real world situation. Everything, all the training, all the hard work, you know, um, it pays off. And I had soldiers that, you know, are, you know, they go in 18-year-old kids, and come back as men. 18-year-old women, girls come back as women, make them stronger and tougher. You know, they they see more than you know the average civilian. And it's hard for them when they come out, when they serve, and they don't want to reenlist. It's I see them, I meet them, and I communicate with them through the phone or by email. And they're still finding it hard. You know, finding it hard. Uh, some of them are, they commit suicide. Some of them try to commit suicide, and you but now they're getting help through the VA. And it makes me proud when I see my one of my troops, retire. It's and then you see in the comments, you know, the following people I want to thank for my career is, and then they've mentioned my name is, I feel like, I accomplished something, for them, you know, and growing up in the ranks, you know, my leaders always say, if you train them, you teach them, you feed them, you just take care of them, because that's the number one job as a leader, is to take care of that soldier. And he said not only that they're going to start walking like you, they're going to start talking just like you. And you see it, like I said, it's a challenging job, uh, like a hardship, the days away from your family, the deployments, the late, we come in early and come home late, but I'm glad that today's military is paying, have better wages, because I think soldiers earn it, and I'm glad that policies are changing within the VA. I have friends here in Michigan. They served in Vietnam, and they served in, Afghanistan and all that. But now they recognize them as veterans. It's like, hey, I had a close up, I think 60-year-old friend of ours. Just met him here about 4 years ago. He served in Vietnam. And I told him, I said, you're a veteran, man. Check it out. Go to the VA. And sure enough, he came back and started telling me that, man, there's a lot of paperwork I put in, and nobody's responding. But I think now the VA is more organized, more detailed to the veteran. They respond quicker. They your assigned doctors are constantly calling. I mean, they call me up, reminding me 2 months out, hey, you got a eye test, or you got your annual physical, so it's way better than when I first started working with the VA. Well, also, I find it that the VA here in Michigan is very quick to respond. If I can't get a hold of them to my phone, I email them and they just respond within that same day. And before, it takes, when I was in Washington, it took months just to get a response.
Why do you think that is?
Yeah, so I think they in place people that know what's going on and what's going on with the veteran. And it's not just one physician. Everybody gets involved. From they look through your medical records, they double check, they triple check, and then they call you back and to see how you're doing, how the medication's working. Before I had issues with my shoulder, and before I told my doctor about it, before I even got home from the appointment, I got a phone call from him saying I have an appointment that he made for my shoulder. That's how quick it is. So the VA system has improved dramatically. I mean, I get letters. I get magazines, stuff like that.
Yep.
My psychiatrist. She's great. She works up here in Gaylord, and as a matter of fact, there's going to be a new person that's going to be taking over because she moved up on the ladder. So she was kind of like sad, but I tell her, I said, hey, look, you're going to work in the same building. Um, also, you know, uh, so yeah, we, the in the civilian world, we use people deliver fuel. They they deliver food to the grocery stores. They deliver uh, everything. Anything that has to be moved to be delivered. You got civilian truckers. Well, in the military, it's basically the same thing, but in a more, uh, you know, they get 8 hours of driving. You know, in the military, we just keep pushing. And then there's always a guy next to you that if you're tired, the next person takes over.
Yeah.
And so it's a constant operation. You, especially during in a war zone. It's you don't have time to sleep. Is what we say. We got to move. You fall asleep, and it's either make it or you're not going to make it.
Right.
And it's a lot. It's more stressful to me. It's more stressful. I have a friend of mine. He retired also, and he's a truck driver in the civilian world. And he, he's doing the same thing, but in a very more down to earth type. And he. I mean, he likes it.
Yeah.
And it's basically what he tells me. It's always the same thing. It's just that it's not stressful.
Yeah.
Uh,
What would you say? Maybe just a couple things that really you took away from the military, and that it taught you or helped develop in you.
Making good decisions.
Hmm.
Decision making. Figuring out things for myself, which is the easiest route. And you know, sometimes the route I take is not easy, but it's like a tunnel. It's like a tunnel vision, is what they say. This is how I see it, and at the end, I still accomplish it. It's just that maybe I took longer. If I just open up a little more. Um, um, Fixing stuff. Trying to make things work if you don't have the right equipment. You know, you improvise, and but it taught me leadership. Taught me to put my feet down. You know, protect. Taught me how to protect my soldiers, and now it's still told me how to protect my family now. I mean, it taught me a lot of stuff. I mean, I could go on for days, but um, taught me how to be stronger. To keep myself busy. It's hard not to just sit down and not talk about it. You know, sometimes my granddad will ask me questions about you know, how did I do this in the military, or why do we do it, So, and he tells me about his brother, who was in Vietnam, and he needed serious help. Uh, Needless to say that the VA is helping him um, dramatically. He's like being taken care of now. But according to my granddad, he was like wanted to just give up. He was totally a different man when he came back from Vietnam, and I see how when soldiers come back from that, their vision is like, when you see death, when you see, you know, um, things that you think is not real, that's just in the movies, and then you see it in real life. When it was hard, I had my lieutenant, young kid, you know, I had to pull him to the side and say, "Hey, look, sir, get a hole, because we can't show that to the troops."
Wow.
Yeah.
What was that situation? If you don't mind asking.
Say again?
What was that situation that you had to do that? What was happening?
Well, one of our truck drivers, we had one of the civilian trucks had a fuel leak. So one of my truck drivers, who was stationed here in uh, Battle Creek, Michigan, under the 401st Transportation, and he's also a mechanic in the civilian world. He's a reservist, and he went up to fix that fuel leak and fixed it, and he became the lead vehicle now, and went over a roadside bomb and blew him up, and took half of his legs. Everything was just dragging. He pulled himself to this, to the front of the vehicle, and he told me that he was cold, and it was like 120 degrees, and you know lieutenant saw that, and he just like almost like went crazy. But he settled down, and he took it in. But he came back to Fort Lewis, and he called it quits. He said, "I'm done," and he's still being treated. Uh, that's it sticks to your head.
Well, that's a hard thing to train for, I would imagine, right? You can't train
Oh
to do
yeah,
something like that.
yeah. During training, when we do training, we wear this equipment. That if you get shot, it starts beeping. So you got a card that you open up, or you got a chest wound, and so the medics have to train like if it was a chest wound. So, and it's not just the medics. Sometimes the medics are not around, so we have to train to do first aid. Try and keep the soldier alive until medical aid comes. But losing a soldier is just you react quick. You don't. The only thing that comes to your head is to take care of that soldier, stop the bleeding. Comfort the soldier. And then when everything starts cooling down, that's when you start, fear starts sinking in, and you can't sleep. You can't eat. And so you talk to the chaplain, which is a great asset in any war. a chaplain is like really the motivator to keep you going, but you know, our motivator also got shot and killed, so um, it's hard when you go to that person to talk to and he's no longer there, so it is scary, me and my one of my squad leaders, we have a ritual every day. We wake up and hold the crucifix and we pray. Yeah. And we pray that the Lord guide us through the desert, day in and day out, and it worked.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I want to talk about. Sorry, go ahead.
no, no.
You said that your wife was and has been an incredible support to you. In what ways was that? In what ways was she a support to you while you were deployed, and even today as you deal with the TBI?
Okay, so my wife now, we got married after I was still in the military, but through my pain, the struggle I had to do to get myself back to normal. She was always there, very supportive, always, checking things out for me. Like if it wasn't for her, I'd probably be 6 feet underground. I didn't take care of myself. The way I found things that I wasn't in good health is when I applied for, I believe, life insurance, and I got denied because my health was I could sometimes I can't barely walk. My blood pressure was to the sky. My blood sugar level was to the roof. And then my TBI, it's and she was sort of like my advocate to the VA. They were, like I said, when I first started, they just drugged me. Then what? I couldn't move. I couldn't. I stayed on my recliner. You know, I I sometimes just have to get up and force myself to go to the bathroom because my meds are telling me no.
Oh wow.
My head's going, yeah. So finally, she started doing some research, calling people, and got me to the right path, and talked to the right people. And that's when we moved here from Washington and started calling people. And, that's when I saw that the VA here is, and I'm not sure about Washington State, but here in the state of Michigan, it was a pretty quick process where she would call and appointments were just coming in. Can you make it in here? Can we? Because I'm sorry about that.
That's okay.
Because the process in Washington is, I don't know what's going on, but here it was just continuous. They call you and they say, hey, why don't you come in and we'll talk again, or everything's okay, or how are the meds helping you. I had to go to a lot of see neurologists down in Saginaw and in Detroit. So, and then they do a lot of testing, CT scan, MRI, name it. Name it, everything they had to do with checking your brain out, they did, you know.
Wow.
And also the other stuff like my sugar level, my blood sugar level, my high blood pressure, my shoulders, my back, my knees. So it's pretty long struggle, but I'm being taken care of now, you know.
Now, are those your physical ailments and struggles? Is that as a result of your time in the military?
Yes, you know, and you know everything that I claim was in my medical records, you know, like repeated stuff, you know, um, like my, you know, I I I complain about, hey, you know, I'm always passing out, you know, and wake up and don't know what happened. Hit my head on the corner of the coffee table,
Uh,
uh, you know, and then I was just by myself. And then when my wife, it's funny because I went to my disability hearing, and I woke up on the floor. And also I had the VA train my dog to become my service dog. So she detects my seizures before it even happened.
wow.
And be, the judge, who was always skeptical about service dogs, when it happened, they showed me a video of it, where I was going out, and he was laying that she was laying down, and she just got up and started barking and went up, licked my face on the video, started barking at the judge, went to the door, started barking at the door so that my wife can come in, and he went back and just laid next to me, and but
Wow.
the but and she was a great service dog, you know, always by my side. You put her uniform on and she knows she's working.
That's
she she doesn't get distracted from anything. You know, she's doing her job. But as soon as I take her uniform off, her vest off, she's just a normal dog, you know. But yeah, I lost her on Valentine's Day this year, you know.
oh,
She
sorry.
yes, that was so hard to swallow. I mean, she died on my lap.
Uh,
Like she just jumped up, laid on, and died on the sofa, and I was petting her while I was talking to my wife on the phone, and I, I looked down and she wasn't breathing. So I guess, you know, people are saying that was a good death. You know, and in a way, I kind of am glad that she went that way instead of me taking her to the vet and watch them put her down.
what kind of dog was she?
She was a Weimaraner.
Oh, wow.
Yep. And also, you know, while she was in training, some lady just came up to me and said, "A Weimaraner for a service dog? What an oxymoron!" I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna let that go, because the trainer was there also with me, you know. So she says, "Let it go, let it go," you know. So, you know, she turned around and proved everybody wrong, you know.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, what would you say to somebody who's out there as a vet like yourself? How would you encourage them? Maybe they haven't. Well, let me back this question up first. Why do you suppose vets don't take advantage of the help that's out
Well, yeah, you know, too many uh, turnarounds, you know, kickbacks. You know, they, you know, submit paperwork and don't get any results, you know. And so they're like, you know what, I turned my paperwork in too many times, I'm done. They're not responding. And so that's one of the biggest issues I hear from them, you know. And I don't know about now when they file, you know, but it's I know they took care of me, but that's the biggest thing is they lose paperwork, they send this in, and yeah, they I think what they need is somebody to uh, advocate for them, you know, talk on their behalf. I had one guy down here that works in Bel Air. Uh, his name is Tim. I forgot his last name, but he's, you know, I call him up for questions and he just returns my call. Or, you know, if he doesn't have the answer, he digs it up for me and calls me back the same day or not the next day. So we need somebody like him, you know, that, you know, just don't sit behind the desk and get a paycheck. We need somebody that, you know, that cares, you know. I introduced my brother to him, and my brother's getting the same response, you know.
Good.
So yeah, you know, it's within the system, you know. You got people that do their job right, and some people that just sit back and, like they say, collect a paycheck, you know. But you know, the people in the clinics, they're very awesome, you know, to serve the veterans.
Good.
This clinic that I go up here in Gaylord, uh, every one of them, you know, if the doctor's busy, the doctor's nurse will call us back and set up an appointment or answer our questions, you know. But the other times I didn't get no response when I was in Washington.
Hmm.
Nothing, you know. Then I have to call in and they said, well, the doctor's not in right now. If you leave your name and number, and so, you know, you know, they'll put you on hold in the what do you call it, the hotline crisis. Wait one for the next representative, you know, and that was in Washington, you know. But I don't know about here. Here they just respond quick.
Right.
So, you know, like I say, I can't talk on behalf of the Washington VA, but if uh, if things are, you know, going the same way as here, it should be the same policies, same, you know, regulations. Yeah, I think that's the biggest downfall is that uh, they don't, they just quit because there's no response, there's no, you know, no right answers. They give them the runarounds, give them paperwork to fill out, and then they turn it in and they said they're missing this paperwork, so they send them the same paperwork to fill out. I mean, I did it a few, I don't know how many times, you know. I was like, oh. So then I started being smart. I started making copies of it. So when they send me paperwork to fill out again, I just, you know, burn another copy and send it to them. Because, you know, you got to open up your everything, your medical history, your medical records, everything. So, yeah, that's frustrating, you know. So I, uh, I believe it's getting better, and that's how it should be, you know.
Right.
Yeah. But yeah, that's I think the biggest downfall. Mm-hmm.
What would what does it mean to you veterans? What does it mean for you for to have support from your country? What kind of support means more to you guys um, as you think about that?
You know, the support. I mean, it makes me feel good. It makes me feel good that somebody outside of my, you know, area cares.
Yeah.
You know, somebody that would listen to you, somebody that will uh, help you if things are not working out. To, you know, from medication to counseling to uh, you know, your health, everything, and it makes you feel good that, and served 20 some years, and now the the program that's in place to help veterans are working, and that's a big motivating factor for me, is that I don't get the runarounds here. I don't, if they don't know, they tell you straight up they don't know, but they'll find a person that will know, just like down in Detroit, this lady who studies the brain, instead of me going down to Detroit for appointments, she found somebody here in, within an hour drive that, is way closer.
Nice.
And so they open up avenues to help you not travel far,
Yep.
so you get your help, they try and accommodate your needs, so yeah, it really helps, you know yeah. So,
What's it been like for you making the transition, and was it a difficult transition going from doing this for 20 some years to all of a sudden being retired?
you know
On the end of
my,
that question, are you involved in any kind of organization that helps or looks at veteran service or anything?
uh, it was very hard to transition after retirement. I didn't know what to do other than the military.
Right.
So when I got out, I started putting in applications to work in different areas, and I didn't know what the pay looks like. I didn't know, uh, because my whole life was military,
Right.
you know, and I still wake up thinking that I'm in the military, still in the military, I still go to bed late, wake up early,
Yeah.
it's like it's embedded in you, But yeah, it was a scary transition. I wouldn't say it's a hard transition. It was just scary
Okay.
because you know now you're changing the your your the life schedule.
Your whole
Uh,
structure is different.
yeah, it is. And it's it's weird, But like I said, you know, as days come, come and go, you learn to adjust,
Yeah.
And pretty much I've adjusted to it, but still have that military mentality sometimes,
Yeah.
So
So just
yeah,
like in service, you learn to adapt and improvise.
yeah, yeah, mhm,
Now you're doing
yeah,
civilian life.
yeah, yeah.
So
So
before we go, I'd like to ask you if I didn't, my question about, are you helping other veterans now? Are you get
you
involved
know,
in anything?
I'm not involved in any veteran organizations, but I do talk to, help out my fellow veterans, by, you know, letting them know who they can see, where they can go.
Okay.
So, and they get results,
Hmm.
Yeah. So we talk and, keep pushing them to, hey, go get checked. And that's what I do other than, joining a group and,
Yep.
so that's about the only thing I do,
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah. Hmm.
So before we go, I'd like you to maybe encourage the younger generation out there who might be watching and just encourage them if they want to join the military. What would you say to give them advice on making that choice?
For the younger generation now, um, the military itself, no matter what branch, um, you know, it's more, um, more aimed to, uh, you know, easier life. You know, the opportunities there, the training is there. You know, and if you don't like it, you get out and you have a background and what type of training you earn in the military. You know, the pay is way better, way better than when I came in. You know,
Mm.
And you know, if they just take the military seriously, it's going to work out for them. You know, and you just got to like it. You just got to learn how to adapt with, you know, the pressure and stress. But if you could accomplish that, you know, and maintain a good military bearing, you know, be honest to yourself, work hard, and at the end, you're going to get that big reward, you know. And you know, I keep telling, you know, look, when you're in there, you get your dental fix. I mean, free dental, free health care. You know, name it. The military is going to take care of you. They got to make you at 100%, day in and day out. You know, all you got to do is just serve your country, man. You know, and that's what I tell my two younger nephews, who, you know, like I said, they joined after I retired, and now they got 13 years in.
Wow.
And you know, they love it. You know,
Yeah.
and so, you know, that's my advice to these younger generations that are coming in. You know, life is not going to be handed to you. You know, you got to earn it. You got to work hard for what you want. And you know, when you earn something that you work hard for, it makes you feel good inside. Makes you feel like you accomplished stuff. Makes you feel like, you know, you can be on your own and survive.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's my advice. You know, yeah.
No, that's perfect. That is great. Pat, it's been such a pleasure and honor being with you today. Being with you.
Yeah.
But someday I hope that we get to shake hands and
Yes. Same
thank you
here.
in person. Thank you so much for
Yeah.
your service. Thank you for your dedication to our country, so that we can continue to have the freedoms to enjoy the weekends. You know what I mean?
You're
So
right. Yep.
it's just awesome
Like
to
like
meet.
that song, like our chicken fry. You know,
Exactly.
like
So
cold beer.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
Pat, thanks again so much.
Yeah.
Appreciate your time.
Well, I appreciate it. Thank you, and I hope to see you in person.